The title of this video asks you to treat League as if everyone in the game is suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. Now that is a complete overstatement, but let me tell you why it's worth doing anyway. The staple of PTSD is the imagined reliving of traumatic experiences. You have a trigger and it causes you to feel an effect. Well, League of Legends can be pretty damn traumatic. Work with me here. Having to rely on others to get what we want can bring out both the best and the worst in us, and so League can be full of some really negative experiences. And where in the real world vets get triggered by knives and loud noises and guns and mayhem, in League we get triggered by god-awful plays and well wishes of cancer and death, and a few words we might not otherwise expect. We can't change much about the bad plays except get better, but we can change the way that we interact with other people by not pulling the metaphorical knife, the trigger to a traumatic remembrance in the first place. So let's take a look at our arsenal of unintended toxic words, see why they're used, and why they probably shouldn't be used at all. But before that, I conducted a survey without much turnout, and so you're free to dispute these results, but these came up as the top scores, the most offensive toxic language. Cancer, well wishes of death, sexual fantasies about your mother. These are pretty severe, but they proved to be relatively rare. Most striking were the passive-aggressive wildcards that pulled to be among the most common toxic language. These are wildcards because their meaning is so subjective. They can be offensive even when that's not our intention. And firstly, there's why. The almighty why. You know, we all make mistakes. Especially that one time I popped Ghost and Flash and Hyperkinetic Position Reverser and ended up a whole map away from my team and into the foul clutches of Mordekaiser and his dragon. But are you asking me to defend my position? Are you asking me to admit that I was wrong? Why is asking us to defend something usually not worth defending? And when it is, like when it's our champion choice, it relies mostly on personal opinion based on previous experience. And the anecdotal, every time I see Urgot he loses, evidence doesn't have much of a basis in only a single match in such a huge game. It's the why, when we play something unconventional and do badly, that makes it hard to continue playing. The why, when we play at all, that makes it hard to play. Why is an emotional question. It puts us on the defensive as it challenges our pride and it dwells on the past, which is counterproductive in a game of League. But if you genuinely want to ask someone why they do something, say it genuinely. Which is hard to do when text is our only medium of discussion. And everything we write has to go through our target's own voice, and we can only hope that they don't imagine us as interrogators hoisting the exit game button before their eyes. Even with good intentions, why should probably be avoided to prevent that sort of miscommunication. And don't say why because you think somebody lost you the game, because someone made a bad play or a bad decision. I've seen that shit too much. It's not worth saying because it'll make the target feel attacked, even if an attack is not what you had intended. I'm willing to bet that the majority of us have had a bad experience of that one time somebody said why, and we were backed into a corner. Our team against us, we feel alienated, no longer a part of a team, a lone wanderer, a gunslinger, slipping across the post-apocalyptic wasteland of a forsaken rift. I've spent so much time on why because it's the most easily misinterpreted. The rest of these often unintentionally toxic words build off of most of what we've already discussed. And next we move briefly on to ... The elusive ellipses of expressing disapproval. Often followed by a refusal to gank, group, follow up in a gank, or respect the target person as a human being. Often used when one can hardly fathom how one could possibly be so bad. Bad? Are you saying I'm bad? Yeah, that was bad. But ... You got anything to say to me? Because your ... is looking at me the wrong way. In a similar fashion, OMG imparts a similar feeling of immense distaste. Like when Lee misses all of his abilities and plunges headfirst into a minion before being gobsmacked by Nasus. OMG implies that somebody thinks you suck. You see, these are emotional triggers that make us remember bad experiences. Through repetition, we're conditioned to associate these relatively harmless comments, why, OMG, with people being shitty human beings, so that even if aggression isn't the intended meaning of the person who pilfered from this toxic arsenal in the first place, we feel attacked. In layman's terms, shit may not be the intended meaning of the person who wrote shit in chat, but supreme shit is often what we feel in response. You can say you're not a pussy, but I don't give a fuck, because when somebody leaves your game or just decides that it's not worth winning anymore, not worth trying to win because of something that you said, that's on you. We can't directly make anyone feel anything. It's how they interpret our actions that gives them feeling. And nobody interprets in quite the same way as you do yourself. And that's why you should treat everyone in League of Legends, including yourself, as if we're suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. Because, to a small and yet noticeable degree, we are. That's us.